Hello. Welcome to the Charlize Theronathon. We are going to take you on a journey through every single Charlize Theron movie that we are lucky enough to have on this earth. And by we, I mean me, Jude Connolly, and my pal, Robin Elaine Hitchcock.
Hello.
And Bob Shields.
Hello.
The name was Charlize Theron. But people got unease in pronouncing it, and therein lies the problem of their own. So they say things like Theron. But they're wrong, Charlize, they're wrong, and hence this song. Welcome to the Theronathon. We're gonna do the Theronathon. Take a bite and chew the Theronathon. Juicy like fondue, the Theronathon. Get a film review at the Theronathon. Woohoo, the Theronathon.
Welcome to our second episode in which we will be reviewing
2 Days in the Valley.
Ooh.
1996 neo-noir pseudo-comedy.
Yeah.
This
fair.
is not her second movie, because we're not doing this in order. But we thought that
I think it
I
is.
think it is her second movie.
Oh,
This is her second movie. This is her first real role.
I thought that you chose this one because it was the first time that she was taken seriously in a movie.
No, we're not even close to there yet.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I was going to have some questions about that reception.
She did have a meteoric arc, though, when she started off with 10 seconds of on-screen time to being one of the main characters in a movie in the span of one movie.
That's
Like,
true.
That's
But
true.
again,
Yeah.
1 year apart.
I mean, and there's a lot of star power in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Man. This movie is full of faces.
We've got Terry Hatcher.
Ooh.
We've got one of the guys from 30-something.
We've got the guy from The Mask.
And the guy from Leon.
Who are we talking about?
Okay, so the like very 90s specific style attractive ginger is the dude in The Mask in the
not
movie.
The Mask.
Oh, in Mask.
Mask.
Yeah, not
oh
Jim
boy,
Carrey.
that is super different. She means Eric Stoltz.
I do mean
Yes.
Eric Stoltz.
And who did you mean?
I meant Danny Aiello.
Oh, I can't remember him being in.
He was Leon's handler in the movie Leon.
Oh,
Also known as The Professional, depending on where you were when it was released.
right. But he actually is an Oscar-nominated actor. He was nominated for Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Oh.
And, as we'll discuss in a bit, an Emmy winner.
Oh.
So let's get there in due time.
This was my first time watching the movie.
Mine too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Couple things. So my dad and I watched movies together all the time. And we'd go to Blockbuster and we'd rent a movie. But this movie, he rented and wouldn't let me watch because it was too adult, which was very not normal. I watched a lot of age-inappropriate stuff when I was a kid. However, I also thought that this movie was U-Turn, starring Sean Penn. Like, when Sean Penn's name did not appear in the credits and Oliver Stone's name did not appear in the credits, I was like, oh, this is a different movie. So maybe my dad wouldn't let me watch U-Turn. I've never seen that one.
Okay. Well, I had never seen it, but in my obviously faulty memory, I had thought two things. One, that we were watching this movie because it was her like breakout role, which apparently it is not. Two, that you loved this movie. And so we watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, I just want to know what this is about. And the trailer is painful. Like, it's super weird and hokey, and I was kind of like, what are we signing up
I
for?
wonder what movie you thought it was.
I think it was just like based on a conversation that we had, but like the trailer was such a classic, like, here's a thing and another thing and font on the screen, and it was just really weird, and I was kind of like, I think the movie is better than the trailer made it out to be. But
Okay.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I thought my preconception of this movie came entirely from the title, and for some reason I thought it was like some bleak romance or tragic character-driven thing. And then I saw the trailer and was completely, all of my expectations were completely shattered, and I then had no idea what to expect.
Okay. Essentially, this movie is from the mid-90s cottage industry of Pulp Fiction ripoffs.
Yes.
This movie wants so badly to be Pulp Fiction.
Uh,
So it is like Pulp Fiction or like Shortcuts, which is another
Yes.
LA sad movie by Robert Altman, where there are multiple interwoven threads of plot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because at some point, like 3/4 of the way through the movie, I think I turned to Bob and I was like, what kind of movie is this? Like, what style are they going for?
I think neo-noir pseudo-comedy is the correct genre.
Yes,
for
that's where it is in the Library of Congress.
Definitely, yes.
So I'm going to attempt to summarize the plot of this with help from Regina and Bob. So the first thread of story is James Spader.
What treasure?
To quote Buffy, he needs to call me.
So I described James Spader on watching this movie as, the guy with the really narrow palate. Is that what I said?
Yep, you call him Tiny Pal.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh yeah, tiny palate. And Bob was like, what are you talking about?
Like he doesn't taste food well?
No. When he opens his mouth, you're very surprised by how quickly his front teeth turn into side teeth. Like, the amount of space that his teeth take up in his mouth is very tiny.
Okay.
Yeah, she thinks that his teeth are like a flock of, like, migrating geese.
He basically
They're
has
just a
2 front
V
teeth
shape.
and then side teeth.
So he seems to be existing in a different movie than everyone else.
That-
He does not know this movie is a comedy.
I feel like that is James Spader in every movie I've ever seen him in. He's like, oh, are you doing this? I'm doing me. Very well.
That's possible.
That was not a good impression.
I think
of
he
him,
was
but-
great in this.
I thought so too, but he's creepy as hell.
Yep.
The
But-
thing I've most recently seen him in is the terrible, terrible TV show Blacklist. So I was like, oh, it's just the same exact thing.
Okay, I've never seen that show.
Don't watch
It's
it.
a vehicle for James Spader to be James Spader.
Okay.
Yeah, which, like, the world deserves, but I just wish that it were better.
To
Anyway.
quote my dad again about the movie Jack's Back, which is a weird movie where James Spader plays himself and his twin, through which he is channeling Jack the Ripper. I think he said it's James Spader at the peak of his Spaderosity.
Yep.
Yeah.
So James Spader is a hitman, and he is hanging out with Danny Aiello, and they go to Terry Hatcher's house and murder the guy from 30-something in her bed.
Her ex-husband,
Correct.
who, like, they weirdly take the time to show you him almost ex-spousal raping her.
Oh, that's right.
That was a weird start.
Yeah, maybe it's so you don't feel so bad
Yeah.
about him dying.
Oh, it's like when the orderly licks Sarah Connor's face, so that when she breaks his face with a broom handle, you're not like, what the hell? You're like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and then James Spader attempts to kill Danny Aiello as a way to take all the money for himself. And that's when good old Charlize shows up.
The
Does
first time we
what?
see her is sprawled out naked in
In
a
a
photograph
photograph,
with
yeah.
blood on her when James Spader's like, did you touch her?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that part. Probably because you get to see her boobies again later.
So much.
Yeah. So the second thread is about a suicidal, washed up TV movie director.
Yep.
Wonder where he got that idea.
I found him to be the most charming.
He was pretty charming. The character's name is Teddy Peppers.
That's
There's a lot
adorable.
of questionable character names in this movie.
Like, no one's character name is memorable whatsoever.
No, I
Apart
think
from Danny Aiello's.
Dosmo Pizzo.
I didn't know the second name.
Yeah.
But his first name was repeated multiple times.
Yeah.
Dosmo. And Helga, which is our girl.
Helga Svelgen, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, I
they
think you're right.
laid it on real thick. So the suicidal director. So one thing that drives me crazy, which is why I brought up Danny Aiello's Daytime Emmy, is that the suicidal director looks at his Emmy.
He uses the Emmy as a toilet roll holder.
That's right.
He looks at it, and then he drops it in a bucket and, like, pulls toilet paper off of the wings. Arms.
Yeah, or whatever it has.
It has wings and arms. The arms are holding up the globe and the wings are behind
Then
it.
the wings.
It's the wings, yeah.
Okay, so look, it does not look like an Emmy. It looks like the kind of thing that you order from like a party supply store to give to your employees.
It looks like an Emmy that someone's kid made in shop class.
Correct.
Yep.
And it drives me crazy because someone involved in the production has an Emmy. Danny Aiello won an Emmy in 1981 for the after-school special A Family of Strangers. I went and looked up everyone on IMDb until I found someone with an Emmy. It didn't take that long. So that makes me very upset.
Bad attention to prop detail.
Yeah. So Marsha Mason, who I only know because of The Goodbye Girl, but I think she was like a stage actress.
Who is she?
She drives up and rescues him from killing himself.
Oh, okay.
Because
The
he
nurse.
wants someone to take his
The nurse.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's our third thread, which is about some British guy who's an art dealer and is awful
Mhm.
and
Yes.
inexplicably has a kidney stone.
Also, this movie has very clear definitions of who you're supposed to root for and who you're not supposed to like, and you are not supposed to like this art dealer.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite parts of the movie because this movie has a couple of just completely random scenes that go nowhere and have nothing to do with anything. And this is one of them where he has a random kidney stone while driving. He's got a flat tire. He has a random kidney stone as well, so it has to stop. Then is thrown in the back of a convertible by a large black gay guy who then takes him to hospital in a stolen car and is never seen again.
It's true.
And the club that they were in front of was called Buckskin, and they took time to show you the license plate was Ride Me,
Yep,
I think, on the car that was stolen. So it was like, in case you guys weren't picking up what they were laying down.
but it never connects to anything else in the rest of the movie. The person he steals the car from has more lines of dialogue than the person who rescues the guy and takes him to hospital,
It's true.
which is an odd choice, I think.
So this is where they start interweaving because Marsha Mason takes Teddy Peppers to the art dealer's house because I think they're brother and sister.
Like half siblings or something.
Sure, and she's gonna make him take the dog.
There's the third thread, though.
I thought that was the third thread.
We haven't talked about the cops yet.
Oh, that's right.
That's how
thread
the movie-
4. Thread 4 is Eric Stoltz and Jeff Daniels are cops, and Eric Stoltz is young and naive, and Jeff Daniels is grizzled and racist.
Yep.
But also, hasn't Eric Stoltz been on the force for a decade already?
Did they
Yep.
say that?
Because he was like, I've been on all these different
Oh,
things.
that's
It's
right.
not murder.
Yeah.
So he,
That's
like,
true.
through a decade has managed to keep a gleam in his eye and, I don't know.
Well, I think it's probably easier to keep a gleam in your eye when you're not dealing with murders.
But it's a decade of disappointment where he's not doing what he really wanted.
So they start with him in a massage parlor, and you see you don't actually, there's no full-on nudity, but he has a giant boner.
Yeah, there's
And
a
it-
towel boner.
It's stupidly big.
It, like, comes up to his nipples.
It's just ridiculous. And it was hopefully written into Eric Stoltz's contract, give me a giant wang.
Yeah, he's like, I'll tell you when to stop stuffing.
And it's meant to be a sting, but the massage therapist does not give him a hand job. And then Jeff Daniels is furious.
Yeah, for, like, inexplicable reasons. He's
Yeah.
just erratically angry.
He has
And
very,
racist.
he has very, very thin motivation for
See,
his anger.
I kept waiting for us to find out that he had loved an Asian woman who left him, and that was going to justify why he said all those horrible racist things at the beginning. They didn't go there.
His character is really inconsequential.
Ugh.
Yep.
So that's the scene that made me the angriest. Is so, like, angry Jeff Daniels gets to his house and he's like, golf ball, and he, like, throws it, and then immediately someone manages to hit a golf ball completely sideways on the golf course and shatter a giant window in his house, and then he runs across and he, like, aims a gun and he just intimidates him with the gun, and then he's like, nah, you're a joke, and then walks back to his
Yeah.
house.
He calls him a hack.
Yes! What?
Was the guy a famous journalist or something? I don't understand.
I don't know if that was like a cameo that I didn't get, but it was weird, and I didn't understand why. Like, I was like, well, it wasn't hilarious that his window broke, and he was just so mad. And I think, and then it segues into him having like a sad pan across photos of a son that obviously doesn't live with him anymore.
Right.
And then they wanted to make sure you got that by he signed it like "Happy Birthday from your first dad."
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a close-up of a letter that was like, because you're so erratic, you're off the force. And that's the last you see of his character. So he's racist, and then he does like some consequential stuff, and then he yells at a stranger across the golf course and is like, I'm not
Yeah.
a cop anymore.
Yeah, Jeff Dennis has those two random scenes back to back,
Yes.
and then never seen again.
It's really weird.
I completely forgot about the second scene. Although I do remember now that when he like came into his house, I just thought about his fate in Speed. So they start interweaving because Danny Aiello ends up at the rich art guy's house also. So because why is he there?
So he goes there. He escapes from the explosion because
After James Spader tries
James
to kill him.
James Spader shoots him in the car, and then tries to blow him up. But he's so busy necking with Charlize Theron that he doesn't see Danny Aiello escape. And
That's believable.
Neither do we. So like, it's not like we see Danny Aiello be clever and get out of the car while James Spader's not paying attention.
Right.
He's just necking with Charlize Theron, as you do, and then the car blows up in a spectacular explosion, and the next thing you see is Danny Aiello just rolling down a hill.
Right.
No clue whether he was thrown clear from the car by the explosion or if he cleverly escaped and snuck away.
Him rolling down the hill led to one of the things, because I felt like there were elements of this movie that I was surprised. I was like, oh, this is a very specific feeling of datedness. And it led to toupee jokes, a thing that I did not realize I associate with a specific era of film. But apparently I do, because as soon as that toupee joke happened, I was like, oh, haven't had one of those jokes in a long time.
Right. So he's there. The art dealer's assistant, played by Glenn Headley, who I love.
I really recognize her. I've never seen or heard of her in anything before.
She's in Dick Tracy.
I've not seen Dick
Okay,
Tracy.
she was also on ER for a while. She's just a delight. I adore her. And she is at the top of her game in this movie.
Uh-huh.
But she goes like full Italian and imprints on Danny Aiello's character.
Mm-hmm. That was another thing. I was like, it's weirdly dated the way they're being like specifically mean to Italians. They're like, oh, you eat pizza and special vegetables, gross. And let's just casually assume that every one of you is a mobster. And I like that felt very 90s to me.
But those are on the side of characters we're meant to root for.
Yes.
And then we get some more Charlize action. Naked Charlize action.
Yeah, then you see James Spader and Charlize Theron like bone pretty seriously.
It's sexposition.
Yeah.
Which is a
Yes.
term that comes from Game of Thrones, or discussion of Game of Thrones. I wrote down the person who coined it. It's Miles McNutt. Yeah. So
Appropriate.
they're explaining their plot. They're like recapping the plot and revealing certain things to us while they bang, and Charlize's tits are out.
Yeah, also like there's just a straight crotch shot, like immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street.
I did not see that.
It's the same position.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, James Spader puts a handful of ice on his penis. That was weird.
I forgot about that.
It's
Yeah,
like he like
weird.
is starting to make out with her, and then he gets mad because he thinks she might have made out with someone else. So he goes to an ice bucket and just throws a fistful of ice down his pants awkwardly,
Yeah.
and then puts some ice in his mouth, and then brings the ice to her boob.
Right. He thought that she fucked the murder victim.
That he had set her up to go, and then we find out that he killed him because he was jealous sooner than they had planned.
Correct. He killed him because he was hired to, but he didn't do it according to the original plan because he was jealous.
Yes.
And then we find out that Terry Hatcher hired him.
Oh, shit.
What a twist.
Well, because we see her all bloody and in her underwear being very upset that he's dead in her bed, which she did not expect. And she runs out screaming.
And is stopped by our cop friends.
So we've got another tangled thread. And then when she leaves, she's like, oh, my girlfriend's here to pick me up. And the girlfriend in the car is Charlize.
And I'm sure other things happen, but really the next thing that sticks in my memory is Terry Hatcher and Charlize Theron beating each other up.
Yes. The score in this is very good because it kind of like rises to crescendo like as they're like getting on each other's nerves, and then it starts doing its full on like chorus whatever beat pop thing while they actually fight. And the stunt ladies really earn their money on that fight scene.
It's a good fight scene.
It's pretty good, yeah.
And it doesn't play the games that conventional cat fight would.
Right.
I don't
There is a
think
high heel kick to the stomach for
that
both of them.
is true.
Yeah.
But it's basically them like full on grappling.
It starts with like a punch to the face,
Right.
not a slap.
correct.
There's no
Yeah.
thrown drinks. Also, that like some Terry Hatcher puts a glass vase to her head.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not violent.
And then a gun comes out and Terry Hatcher shoots Charlize and ruins her beautiful white catsuit.
Yeah, you can tell that she's been shot. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a nice white catsuit.
It
Has
fits
a-
her so well.
She only wears white the whole movie.
She does. I put that in my notes.
Except for she is not a character we're meant to root for, and I think we're not meant to root for her because the first time we see her, her boobs are out.
She's also a bad guy.
Yeah, but so is Terry Hatcher. And
That's
Terry
true.
Hatcher
I don't
gets away with everything.
You're right.
And also, I'm something like, so to cut to the end of the movie, a bunch of people die at Terry Hatcher's house, and then we see her get in a truck and be like, no, I'm going to go to Nagano and compete in the Olympics again. And I'm like, multiple cops were killed in your home shortly after your husband was killed in your home. And they're like, nah, she's pretty though. She'll be fine.
She's an Olympic skier who's only ever come in fourth. So at the melee at her house, it's unclear to me how everyone got there.
So I was thinking this too, because it makes sense for James Spader to be there.
Yes.
He drives. It makes sense for Eric Stoltz to ride there because he was curious and he also drove. Charlize Theron shows up after being shot with no mechanism to arrive.
And she was at the hotel that their crime den hotel.
Right.
Maybe it's like right down the road.
Right. It could be within walking distance of the house.
So James
Seems unlikely.
Spader makes two choices that I'm kind of like, So the money is in the house, which is why he has to go back for it. But the cops at night are exploring the crime scene, even though they would have already done that. And it's just two detectives. And he's like, no, I gotta go right now to get this money. And the only possible way I can get this money is to execute both of these detectives. But then Eric Stoltz walks in and he's like, I'm gonna have a conversation with this one. I'm not just gonna immediately shoot him. I just want to see why he's here. And I'm kind of like, I don't believe either of those things. Like, wait an extra hour to get your money after they leave. And I don't know, shoot Eric Stoltz immediately. And then everybody would have been fine.
So I'm okay with that part of the scene when he's like talking with Eric Stoltz and like kind of playing with him.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, they're both facing it. Like, he killed the other two cops by like getting the drop on them. Like, he came up from behind them and like had them turn around and then shot them very quickly.
But he managed to torture them with a kiss face?
Yeah, but like he still has the advantage. Whereas
Okay.
I mean, he and Eric Stoltz are like meeting. I mean, not that he couldn't have engineered the situation to get Eric Stoltz to come upstairs unsuspecting, but I kind of like, and I also like that it shows how clever and how confident James Spader's character is. What doesn't make any sense is after Charlize Theron shows up and Eric Stoltz is like, what? He doesn't, and he has the gun pointed at the back of his head.
Yes.
And then when he turns around, he just knocks him out.
Yeah,
Like,
he just punches him.
It does
doesn't do
not
the
make
shooting.
And I think he's not going to get shot because he was nice to the Japanese lady in the beginning.
That's true.
Yes, he's a sympathetic character.
He's not a pervert, so he's going to be okay.
So Charlize ends up on a couch and she's dying, and James Spader is going to shoot her in the face.
Because
For
even though he loves her, he's like, you're probably dying anyway, you're bleeding out, and you're a loose end, baby.
I can't take you to a hospital, blah, blah, blah.
So, like, maybe he's putting her out of her misery?
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be.
I mean, she does. He's not wrong about her bleeding
Oh,
out.
she dies, so she's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Dead.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Although this time they lingered lovingly on her face after she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she gets away he does not shoot her in the face. She gets away from him, but she runs out into the street and runs into the other people from the plot thread. Why are they there?
So they are...
I think they're just trying to leave the valley, and he had to have been close. Yeah, it has to be close because he would have blown the car up near where the murder was because they're trying to pin the murder on the guy who got blown up in the car,
that's
so they
right.
want them to be
Yeah.
associated. And he only rolled down a hill to get to the art dealer. So, like, they're all
Yeah.
neighbors?
So yeah, the geography makes kind of sense. What doesn't make sense, because Danny Aiello then takes the car because he sees Charlize Theron die in the street, figures out it's the same girl from the photograph, and is then immediately suspicious that James Spader is nearby, and he wants to get James Spader. So he then drives back to the house where the murder was, finds James Spader, and there's obviously the climactic shootout with him, James Spader, and the very hapless Eric Stoltz, who has no gun and is caught in between the two of them.
And no cover. He's just, like, 2 feet from either of them, just laying on the ground, and either of them could shoot him, but don't?
No way, he gets shot in the leg a couple of times, I think.
Oh, that's true.
Just
He
once.
does.
Yeah.
But just the leg. And not even, like, the scary part of the leg. It's like his ankle.
Yeah, like, James Spader is definitely like, I want this guy to live.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a theory for all this. What if James Spader is in love with Eric Stoltz?
Could be. But they've never met up until that point.
What if it's, like, love at first sight,
This could be that.
right? In the way that Glenn Headley fell in love with Danny Aiello right away.
It could be. I mean, he does demonstrate his plucky cunning of, like, unraveling their secret plot.
He has his
So-
precious little Michael J. Fox light baby face.
He was almost in Back to the Future.
My favorite part of their dynamic was when Eric Stoltz was like, I'm going to come upstairs to talk to you. And James Spader's like, I'm going to look at you with James Spader intensity. And he's like, I'll stay on the first floor. I'm very scared. That was good acting.
But yeah, so the best James Spader moment of this is when Charlize Theron escapes from him and he is marching out of the house and like puts the gun in his mouth and takes the rubber gloves off his hand, and he's just like marching to go get her. Like it's just like a 2-second shot. Wow, that's James Spader in his prime.
Yeah,
like he's a very scary hitman.
He's very scary in this movie.
Despite his very small mouth capacity.
He couldn't bite you, but he can shoot you.
That's why he had the room for the gun in there.
Yeah.
All right. So, with Charlize dispatched,
R.I.P. Helga.
it is time for Ebert or Mebert.
A new bit. We couldn't do this for Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest because you may be surprised to hear that Roger Ebert did not take the time to review that film.
Does not do direct-to-video.
Yes.
But he did review this, and he gave it 3 stars
Nice.
Out
What
of how many? 4?
out of 4,
That's
and it
pretty
got
good.
2 thumbs up.
What is Ebert or Mebert?
What Ebert or Mebert is that I have a quotation, and it is either a direct lift from Roger Ebert's review, which are all online at rogerebert.com, or I made it up in my best Ebert voice. And so I'm going to read it, and then Regina and Bob have to guess which it is.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Ready? Newcomer Charlize Theron plays his lover, a blonde as icy as her Norwegian homeland.
That's got to be a Mebert.
I'm going Ebert.
It was a Mebert.
Aha!
The actual quotation is, his lover is the icy Norwegian blonde, Helga.
What? She doesn't even get name credit?
She does not get a name credit. She
Wow.
wasn't famous yet.
Those eyebrows.
She still has her skinny 90s eyebrows.
Whew, they are so skinny and so perfectly like little rainbows.
Little rainbows, and she's also got the very frosty makeup that was a thing in the mid-90s,
Yeah.
late 90s too. So she does look good, guys.
I mean, of course.
she is doing her part as eye candy in this film.
Yeah.
But as she's dying, she does sort of slip into a quote-unquote Norwegian accent.
Yeah, she starts speaking in Norwegian.
Okay.
When she's bleeding out, and
Yeah.
the nurse is helping
Oh,
her.
that's what that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right, so this takes us to...
The most important question for every movie, or no? Is it time for that? You have other things you want to say?
So yeah, so I have a theory about the odd random scenes that happen with no consequence. I'm assuming that is a link into the title of the movie, because the title of the movie is very generic.
2 Days in the Valley.
Yes, so I think it's
Was
supposed to
it?
be like what?
Was it 2 days?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I guess it was. No, it seemed like it was 1 day,
It was one.
It
Because
started
it
off-
started off at nighttime,
and then ends the following
and
night.
then at dusk.
Yeah, so it's not even accurate.
I interpreted it as they murder the guy at, like, let's say 9 p.m. on one day, and then it ends the next day.
I guess, does it start with the murdering, or does it start with the boner? I thought it started at the
No,
massage
you're right.
parlor.
It starts with the boner. Yeah,
So it's, okay, so boner to dusk, murder.
and then I guess
Daytime to dusk. But I'm still like, it is not 48 hours. Like, I'll give you 30.
Okay.
But then, yeah, and the last scenes are them like, and this is what happened afterwards. The nurse and the
That's
movie
true.
director have a dog together.
Terry Hatcher, going to Nagano.
Yeah, and so it's like the wrap-up scene. So maybe that's the final hours of the 2 days. But I'm like, the random scenes that happen are like, all this and more can happen in 2 days in the valley, because the valley is such a weird place, I think is supposed to be what it's about.
Yeah.
But I'm like, still.
Maybe we don't understand because we don't live in Southern California.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
I think so.
We live on the eastern side of the country.
Yeah.
We don't know.
So I just wanted to say that I actually thought this was a pretty solid movie. I actually thought it was very satisfying. It ended on a fun note. It didn't end or begin with clip art like Children of the Corn 3 did, which
Yeah,
is a
although-
significant step up.
High bar.
Yes, it did have the fucked up typewriter font that everything in the 90s had with the title, but Other than that,
The ending title credits were so adorable. They were bright green with a really strong, like, black almost shadow line next to them, and it just looked super dated and adorable. And they did the thing which I love when movies do, where they're like, here's the cast, and you have like 3 seconds of the cast like getting into a pose from a scene, and then their name pops up and they freeze.
Like it's a TV show.
I think that, like, just, what is it, like the Wonder Years that does that, or Facts of Life, where it's like, I'm moving, and then I'm stopping, and here's my name. I love that.
Okay, so, guys.
So who would Keanu Reeves play in this movie?
Very important question. Bob, I think you had a good breakdown.
So my only note on this subject was that era-appropriate Keanu Reeves would replace Eric Stoltz.
That was my thought too.
And today's Keanu Reeves would replace Jeff Daniels.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. You're so right. Holy cow.
I could imagine a grizzled 50-something-year-old Keanu Reeves yelling at Eric Stoltz for moving a cigarette packet.
If you want to see Keanu Reeves playing that kind of role,
And you will in the
sequel podcast.
Yes.
We're already planning.
On our second episode of this podcast, we know where our next one's going. He basically plays that role in The Neon Demon.
Oh, I didn't even know
there's
he was
another
in that.
one where he's a grizzled cop coming out. That's not the Neon Demon.
He's not a cop in The Neon Demon, but he's grizzled and racist.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
And creepy. Maybe he's more of a sexual predator than he is racist. I can't remember.
How would any of those words be attached to
It-
Keanu Reeves?
It was very strange casting.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think I feel like if there's anyone else in the movie that I would want Keanu, or that I think Keanu should play.
I mean, what would it be like if he played the art dealer?
That's out of his range.
Oh God.
Although I gotta say,
horrible.
the actor who played the art dealer was not great. And I looked him up. This was like one of his last credits.
Yeah.
I gotta say, not many people were great in this. Even Charlize was kind of...
Oh, she's rough.
What if Keanu had been cast as Terry Hatcher and he had his wife killed?
You do, yeah, that would
And
work.
Charlize had an affair with the wife. I could get down with that.
And then I would not want to see the two of them fighting, though. I just want to see them like having coffee and being pals. But
I would want to see them fighting. It might not have been as fun a fight.
that is true. I think
that would be
ultimately,
hard
like,
to
the
watch.
answer is Eric Stoltz. Like, that is who
It's
Keanu would be.
I mean, that's what I have written in my notes. That's just clearly true. But Bob took it to another level.
I also am like, no offense to Eric Stoltz, but I think I just would have. I mean, obviously, I would enjoy any movie that has Keanu Reeves in it more than movies that don't have him in it. But I think it would have been better.
Okay, would Back to the Future be better with Keanu Reeves if he had replaced Eric Stoltz instead of Michael J. Fox replacing Eric Stoltz?
I'm lost. I mean, I would not want to change anything about Back to the Future, but like I would enjoy if Keanu Reeves was like, oh, I'm doing soft serve in the background, or like if he'd been like playing guitar in one of the bands. Like I don't want to take anything from Michael J. Fox or from. I was gonna call him Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Wait, what?
That was the guy who plays the I got crazy hair and I'm mad.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
So I think we should have a who would Andrew Lloyd Webber play?
He would
play Danny Elfman.
What?
Because he would just steal music and Danny Elfman does all the music for movies.
See, I thought you were saying he'd play Danny Aiello.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even
And
know.
I thought we were just going to replace all actors' names with similar composers.
I don't really know what Andrew Lloyd Webber is like, but it would be fun to imagine which character would the Phantom of the Opera play.
So
And that would be James Spader, guys. That would be James Spader in this
That is
movie.
Oh, yeah.
true. And I think that Andrew Lloyd Webber, the person, would have played the art dealer.
I think he would
yeah.
have played the suicidal Emmy toilet paper dude.
Okay. Quick note about using your Emmy to hold your toilet paper. Emma Thompson keeps her Oscar in the loo, as she says. She won her Oscar in like 93, so I'm curious if this director knew that.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a thing that people know about each other. Like, oh, like Emma Thompson keeps her Oscar here, and Denzel Washington keeps his Oscar here. Like,
He's got 2.
he does. He should have had 3. Like, I wonder if that's like a fun party conversation that award-winning actors have.
That sounds like the most obnoxious and wonderful conversation ever.
Yeah, they're like, how's your curio cabinet? Oh, it's beautiful.
Do you think Meryl Streep just has like those upside down wine glass brackets that she just holds them all upside down in?
brilliant.
Maybe she has them like modified so she can serve wine in them and be like, oh, I have enough for everyone at my 12-person dinner party.
Yeah, when one of her kids gets married, they're just going to go out as party favors to all the guests.
She only has 3 Oscars, guys. She's got 20 nominations, but I'm sure she has a million Golden Globes, etc.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I guess our final order of business is to rank this among all the films that we've watched. All the 2 films that we've watched.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Yep.
I think we can get through this, though.
I mean, maybe is Children of the Corn 3 going to pull out and stay at the top of any of our rankings?
So...
And we all have our own rankings, so like we're not influenced by each other.
I was going to say that this movie does not have a monster in it, but it does have James Spader, and he pretty much counts.
Yes, he's a monster in this film.
He is indeed.
I gotta say, this is now my number 1.
What's your number 2?
Children of the Corn 3. The second best Charlize Theron movie.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say for me, my number 1 Charlize Theron movie is 2 Days in the Valley. And my number 2 is Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest.
I am not going to buck the trend here, so this is definitely my favorite of the 2 Charlize Theron movies that we've seen. So my list definitely goes 2 Days in the Valley, and then Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest, both beginning and ending with clip art scythes, swiping
Correct.
names away. This does not have that.
So this feature, we promise, will get more interesting as we have more episodes under our belt.
Yes. Also, we won't necessarily, like, by the time we've seen, like, 15, we won't read all 15.
Oh,
we'll just,
goodness.
like, slice it in and be like,
Like-
this is 14, 13, and, or, like, 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And
I'm putting The Astronaut's Wife in between The Devil's Advocate and
Yeah.
Children of the Corn 3.
hey, we don't have to explain it. You'll just stick around and find out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Charlize.
And now you've heard the Theronathon. Every word of the Theronathon. It just occurred at the Theronathon. I hope your heart was stirred by the Theronathon, and that your kitties purred at the Theronathon. Your curiosity spurred by the Theronathon. You're turning into a nerd for the Theronathon. And if you're flipping the bird at the Theronathon, we are undeterred at the Theronathon. We're eating yogurt and curd at the Theronathon.
This movie wants so badly to be Pulp Fiction.
Yes, or Lethal Weapon.
What?
Sort of in that vein.
You're Sorry.
This is our special guest. Our squeaky door. Our door is like a murder door. Like,
Yeah,
every time you
it's-
come in, it's like... and then you're home.
Yeah.